You can see I'm obviously doing back-to-back because number 3, I'm wearing the exact same clothes as number 4. I'm doing the exact same clothes as number 3, but this is what we do in this television world. I'm only kidding. Today, very fortunate to have Bob Haas here. He is our head of clinical services, but he's way more than that in terms of what he does for us on a day-to-day basis and a strategic basis. Bob, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you, bud?
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, I always start. Do you know what this is all about, or?
Yeah, it's getting to know you. So I don't know if they really.
I kind of know you, but they got to get to know you, right? Everybody out there's got to get to know you.
Good team. I'm proud to be a part of this team that you've formed.
No, oh, stop. Everybody's formed that. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for asking me.
Let's go back.
Okay.
I know you were born in West Virginia.
Yes.
Were you born a coal miner's son?
I was not. I was actually born in Baltimore, Maryland, and by the grace of God, I moved to West Virginia when I was 4. And so I lived there all through my high school years, and then went off to West Virginia University for undergrad and athletic training. And then I went to UNLV in Las Vegas for my master's in athletic training.
That's a change.
Yes. And then I got involved in professional football. And then I went back to West Virginia to work with Kevin and go to PT school. So
tell me, what was it like growing up in West Virginia? To describe your life.
I grew up in a very small town. We were poor, but we didn't go without. I told you earlier we had an outhouse growing up, which was really honestly the foundation for my drive, because I wanted to do more. I feel guilty. My parents worked very hard, but they were.
Did you farm? Were you a farmer?
No, we were just. My parents had labor jobs, and we lived in a very small town. But it was the best place in the world to grow up, and that's why I moved back to West Virginia to raise my kids in a simple area, a little more of a town than what I grew up in. But the foundation of growing up in that kind of labor market was what really forecasted the rest of my life. It provided a good work ethic and a good drive.
Now, you went to West Virginia. Yes. Was that in the glory years of West Virginia football?
Yes. I mean, we had solid teams. Major Harris was...
you were the Major Harris
years. Yes, I was the Major Harris years.
Basically a title game one year, right?
Yes, we were great.
It's amazing.
Yes, good football. And that's why I went to West Virginia for the athletic training program. It was a fantastic program.
And then when you graduated from West Virginia, you went...
Got in my car, had a Chevette, and drove 42 hours in the middle of July to UNLV in Las Vegas. It's because both the head trainer in football and basketball were both West Virginia grads, and they never had a student from West Virginia come out to do a master's program, and I was ready to roll. So I jumped in my car and went
to do a master's in
athletic training at UNLV. So I was a football trainer for 2 years. Great experience
at UNLV. At UNLV.
Yep, Division I football program.
So those were some pretty glory years of basketball too.
Yes,
Did you cross with all that stuff? Or no?
Rollie Massimino came the same time frame that I came, but they still had some fantastic football, and also a unique thing out there was the National Finals Rodeo that we got to work with all the amazing rodeo people. Those are real athletes.
Did you ever meet Rollie?
I did several times.
Me too. I played golf with Rollie. He was a character.
Yes.
Then you'd go out and eat a big pasta dinner afterwards.
Yes. And Jay Wright was his assistant, who's...
Jay Wright was assistant at UNLV.
Yes, and it was fantastic. So met a lot of people. Through my athletic training career, I've met a tremendous amount of people, in the physical therapy world.
And you probably got really good swag.
Yeah. Yeah, we always... we got dressed up quite a bit.
You did?
Yes, we did.
So how did you end up going into professional football from there?
Well, in my high school yearbook, I wrote that I wanted to be an athletic trainer for the Mountaineers or the Dallas Cowboys, because I loved the Dallas Cowboys growing up. And so
isn't that cool when you can set a goal and actually...
Yeah, it was really humbling, and I say lucky, but I think if, if you work your ass off, then it increases your chances of luck.
Right.
That's sort of my philosophy. So I applied to 29 teams and got 29 rejections letters. And just out of the blue, I'm like, well, I'm going to, Dallas just won their first Super Bowl. I'm like, I'm going to apply. I'm going to.
Is that the
Yes.
Jimmy Johnson period?
Yes. And
Right.
again, I came the weekend that Jimmy left.
Oh, really?
Yes, I came with Barry Switzer. So I called the head trainer just out of the blue and said, hey, I have a master's degree, but I'd love to come your internship position, which is really a heightened water boy.
Sure.
People come right out of undergrad. And he's like, well, I don't know why you're coming with a master's degree, but how about I fly you out and work a camp with us? So I flew out, worked a camp. When I left, he offered me the internship job. And I worked for a year as the intern, and then they hired me full-time.
Full-time. And how many years were you there?
I was there a total of almost 8 years.
Almost 8 years.
Yeah, 7 full seasons.
Wow. And I think you told me you worked crazy hours.
It was unrelenting. I worked 180 days without a day off. We had 13 weekends off a year. I mean, there really wasn't an off season. It's just there's always something to do with the draft, with OTAs, practices, post-op scheduling. It's a lot. And it wasn't. That's why I moved back to West Virginia, because it was not the schedule to be a good father, and I wanted to have kids. So that's another reason why I moved back to West Virginia.
Tells a lot about you right
Yeah,
there.
right.
That's a priority.
Right. It was family is a priority. No question.
Tell me a funny story or a individual who in those 8 years stood out.
Well, there's a lot of stories. I could write many books, because it was 58 men, 18 hours some days, 12 hours most days together, like you're on a submarine. It pretty raunchy and fun. My very first road trip, I had no money. I was making $800 a month, and my rent was $400. And I had a pair of khaki pants and a old sport coat. And so I got on that first flight, and those guys dressed to the nines. Walking to your seat is like walking down the runway. They judge you. They make fun of each other's outfits. And Charles Haley, just unrelenting, wore me out about how awful I was dressed. And it was, khakis and a sport coat, and everybody else had $1,000 suits, and wore me out the entire way to wherever we were playing. But when I got off the plane to get on the bus, he just said, hey, meet me at 1 o'clock on Monday. I'll come by the office. So 1 o'clock comes. Charles says, come with me. We jump in his car. He takes me to Men's Warehouse and buys me 4 new suits.
Oh, my God. Really?
Yeah, those guys took unbelievable care of us.
That is crazy.
Yes, I mean, at Christmas time, and those were just always, because we were together all the time.
Right.
Yes,
right.
we're so tight. I had to go to those guys' house at night. Troy Aikman took care of me. Those guys came to my wedding in West Virginia. It was an unbelievable experience of true
camaraderie,
teamwork.
Right.
Which is what I love about this company, is because as an athletic trainer, I've always been a part of a team. I want to be a part of a team. And H2 has been a team also, a team approach. I mean, we're a very, very small company, even though we have all these clinics. The top end leadership is, we have 20 people at the C-suite running all these clinics. So it's a real team approach, and the people here have been wonderful. And we joined you guys when you were just 75, 80 clinics, so we've been kind of part of the run. It's been fun to be a part of the ride.
Oh, you've been here since the very beginning,
yes,
really.
So it's been fun.
As we like to say, we started with like 60 clinics, and we sold, during COVID, we sold 8 and closed 2.
Right.
And so we really kind of started at 50.
Right.
And you guys were there right at the end of that first December, and have just been part of this growth, from the very beginning.
Yes, it's been a great
And that must have been
partnership.
scary for you guys, though, right? I mean, it was obviously you had a small little business. I mean, small, 11 clinics, I think,
Yes.
or 12 at the
Yes.
time. What was that like
It was
for you
interesting.
and the people?
Because we were really close with Select, because we didn't really know the market. So we were so close with Select within like 7 days of signing the final paperwork, and COVID hit, and they backed out. And then, version 2, we looked around a little more, and Wendy in Roanoke had just signed with you guys and was so positive about her experience that Kevin, I think, dove in, and man, it's been a great decision. I tell people all the time when I go meet with what I love about meeting with our employees is like, hey, I was you. I was you 4 years ago. I was getting after it, PT in a clinic, helping to run 10 clinics, and I was you. And look at what the opportunities there are for you in the future at developing our own leadership in our own team. And it's been just a phenomenal experience.
Well, I always try to tie this back to our core beliefs. But, every day is a new day, right? Like, you can't make a mistake that is that debilitating that we're going to say, we don't want you here anymore.
Right.
Like, if there's a lot of BS, nonsense, that's different. But if people do their job or try to take some risk, or try to do some things creatively, and it doesn't work, guess what? We're just going to wipe the slate clean and fix it and determine, how to move forward, right?
It makes it really easy to go speak to these potential acquisitions and tell my story, our story, the Greenbrier story, and look those people in the eye and tell them for real, like, this is what happened to us. This is the positive experience. And I think they sense that because some of these acquisitions, they want to hear from another PT because they're nervous.
Right.
They've built this product. Their employees are very important to them, and they want to know that it's going to something that's going to protect what they built.
Right.
And by telling the story of, hey, this is what happened to us, this has been our experience, we've been with H2 for 4 years now, it's been fantastic. It really, you can tell by the end of the meeting how it puts the PT's mind at rest that I'm going to be a part of something that I don't need to be nervous about.
So you talk to a lot of clinicians all the time. And, I'm sure that they have fears or they have wants. Are there anything that has stood out to you, something you hear a lot from them, things that you want to do, introduce, and how do we generally react to that?
I think we have a really good connection with the employees, and that we have a lot of people interacting with our employees. And when we hear a problem, like the 401k, that was a real discussion the first couple of years. I think the company did a good job of reacting. And I think if, selling and telling the employees to be patient, that we're growing. This is a brand new company. And I think we've showed them with the 401k specifically that, H2 is listening and we're responding. And as we grow, you grow.
Right. And how about, one of the things I passionately want to do something about is loan forgiveness, loan programs. Right. So we're constantly working on that, and hopefully we can bring that one to the table.
Yeah, because the cost of physical therapy is just going up, and what the schools are charging kids to go to PT school. I know I borrowed $160,000 because I had a wife and a kid and a house payment, a car payment, and the struggle to pay that off the first 15 years, and it's real, and it begins a real debate about whose responsibility is that. The schools need to be responsible about what they charge these kids and knowing what the back end is, and that these companies are not going to be able to pay all their loans off immediately when PT school is just so expensive.
It's going to take time. It's going to take time.
Issue. Yeah, it's going to take a long time.
It's going to take time.
Everyone needs to be patient, and whatever you get in your student loan reimbursement is a positive, because it's tax-free.
Well, we are fighting for that.
Right.
We are fighting for that and trying to come up with the right program that not just can deliver this to our therapists, but also is fair for those who don't have loans. Right. So there's a balancing act.
Right.
In all of that. So your new role now it's over a year, right?
Right.
What would you say is some of the goals that you truly want to accomplish here personally as the head of clinical services?
One of the things that we initially discussed is centralizing our student placements and making that more streamlined, and we've going live actually today with that. We've joined the exact program. I found a national program to streamline all that, and so it's sort of a hub of all of our student placements and recruiting. And so that's been really positive. H2U, which I didn't start, but I helped facilitate now. It's fantastic. Christina does an amazing job, and Andrew developing those programs. And we went from 0 to 10 courses, and our goal was to do 2 for each region, and I think we're at 10 already. So in this year, so they've blown it out of the water.
That's part of, we don't always abide by a budget.
Right.
Like, tell me what you want to do, and let's find a way to support you to do that. And this gives people opportunities to advance their careers and the things that they want to do.
It's employee driven. Our employees have developed these programs. They teach these programs, and our employees respond to these programs. So it's been fantastic, and we're trying to develop more and maybe more specialty areas to help our therapists that want to go on to have a OCS or a CHT certification. We're going to try to develop a pathway for them to help them along and help provide some of the education so that they do not have to pay for it. So that's HTU 2.0. 2025 is sort of where we're headed for that.
At some point, we're going to be talking about 3.0s and 4.0s.
Right.
It's really funny how we love to throw around 2.0.
Right.
But sometimes we're past 2.0 in some aspects of the company.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. One of my favorite parts about my job is, like we discussed our first day, is, hey, I'd like to be a Swiss Army knife. I've got a lot of different experiences I'd love to share. I've been on the board of PT in West Virginia for 8 years. I've been in professional sports. I've been at the clinic level. I mean, I think we can offer the employees some leadership. And I like to do a lot of different things. I like to help with mergers and acquisitions. I think it's great to tell the story. I like to work with the employees. I've been to clinics and seeing patients for days with them because I think it's important that our employees still see my position and my role as still a clinician seeing patients. I was in Hedgesville a couple weeks ago for a week, and it was great. And they have fantastic therapists up at Hedgesville, and it was great to be back into patient care.
Well, Bob, it's so funny. I use a phrase a lot that it's maybe overused in the world, which is it takes a village.
Right.
Right. And sometimes people don't realize, they think they can do everything on their own. They think they can fix things on their own. But you have to bring the right people and the right skills to anything that you do. And I bet you learn that in football, in the NFL especially, right? Because if one person is 2 seconds too fast or too slow, it can blow everything up, right?
Yeah.
And I talked to Enrique about this, about a lesson learned or something about the military that he brings to his everyday life. If there's something about professional sports or NFL or college football that you think truly relates back to how you live your life and operate and manage your life?
Teamwork, hard work. I mean, you have to work as a team. I mean, we're all pulling on the same rope, and we all have different roles. And the end is to make our patients better. And so having a great work ethic, because there was you didn't call in sick in the NFL because you knew that there's only 2 other guys there to take care of all those guys.
Right.
So
right.
Never had a sick day.
Right.
Never. And you just had to do your job. And it took everybody to do that job. And at the end, you celebrate on the plane on the way home.
Right.
From a good win, the good times.
Well, one of the things that we constantly talk about at H2 is therapists. How do we make their lives better? But maybe one of the things that you just mentioned, an increased focus on the patient themselves.
Right.
We like to talk about outcomes. We like to talk about patient satisfaction and all of that. But really, we should be thinking about maybe a 2.0 or a 3.0. Talk about how do we truly make their overall experience better. Because we've been so focused on, career planning and development for our clinicians, moving people up, giving them, going from a clinic director to maybe a multi-site, opportunity. We've had people come up and now be state directors and things like that. With growth comes all this opportunity, and we've been so zeroed in on 401k and how do I get, have the fairest PTO program or a loan forgiveness program. maybe something we should be thinking about is that zeroing in focus on our patients. Not that we don't, but try to make that part of our 2.0 without losing our focus on our people.
Right, because I think the bottom line is all the clinicians, we went to school to take care of people.
That's right.
We didn't go to school to look at P&Ls and to increase our signature in the community.
Or social media presence.
Right. We went to school to take care of people, and that's got to continue to be the basics for our company.
Right.
We take care of people, and if we do a good job of taking care of people, all the rest will fall into place.
Thank you, buddy.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it. We will continue to grow together. Thanks.
Thank you. Now,
They've
asked me to ask you some questions.
Don't get out of here.
No. Let's do it.